Welcome to NEK VT Rocks. My guest today is Patrick Martell, who today is wearing the hat of Memphremagog Community Maritime, right?
Correct.
Tell me what that is.
So Memphremagog Community Maritime is an organization that has really kind of stepped up. It's a new organization that's stepped up and has put together a group of people, local business people, local people that are involved in kind of the preservation of not only the Northern Star as a boat, but its educational purposes, and showing some of those really high points of the lake that a lot of us really desire to see. You know, so there's a lot of initiatives that are going on in there.
Yeah.
So
How did the Northern Star get to be involved in this? What happened there?
So the Northern Star.
Who is the Northern Star?
The Northern Star.
For
Yeah, the Northern Star is a vessel that's been here on Lake Memphremagog. It was actually brought here by Chris Johansson. It was brought here, and it was actually cut in half and cut in pieces and reassembled. It started out, I believe it was called the Bonnie Bell initially, and then became what was the second name that it had? I can't remember.
Doesn't matter.
Anyway, it came from Lake Champlain in its second home, and then was cut apart and brought across the state, and then was reassembled here on Lake Memphremagog.
And it's currently sitting down at the gateway, still dressed for Christmas.
It is still dressed for Christmas. We got to get the Christmas hat off of it.
It looks beautiful at
yes,
night.
yeah,
Really
but the
does.
lights on at Christmas, and it was looking fantastic. So yeah, it's just people know it in the community. Some have been on. Many people have been on it and have enjoyed the scenery in the summer and the fall.
Right.
And so there's lots of things that it represents to people.
So keeping that boat on this lake was the starting place for this group?
Yeah, we wanted to see this past summer.
What summer?
Well, yeah, I mean we had a very short summer this past summertime. We had a very rainy year, and so the Northern Star as a business had lack of ridership just because there wasn't a lot of nice days, and so Chris had made an announcement that he was going to change some things, and so got together as a group. We had some great conversations with Chris, and Chris actually started a couple of those first meetings, and we came together as a group and just started to look at the thought of do we really want this this vessel to leave the lake now, and that was a possibility, and so so we didn't really want it to go, and so many of us as I mean, like you've been involved with the Clearwater project and so many other things in the past. It's the same thing, so I mean, Pam's part of our group as well. So.
It's really important from where I sit as a Newport resident to have something that is part of our lake. Our lake is really important here.
Well, it's unique. I mean, it's here's a body of water that spans over the U.S. and Canada. Has a border crossing. Has we all know this. If you're local here. I mean, but the beautiful part of it is that this vessel and some of the things that it can lead to. Can really. There's been a lot of students that have been on this. There's been a lot of educational purposes that it's been used for, and I have some friends. One of the guys at my he's a North Country grad, and one of the guys that my wife went to school with is actually he's a merchant marine and a maritime guy, and so his job today he's usually in Vermont for a couple of months, and then he goes away for 2-3 months, and so I can just see that educational purposes later on we'll say there's careers that you could utilize this lake and this vessel to expand the knowledge of career opportunities for a lot of our students as they go from the Northeast Kingdom. They can still live here, but they may travel and they may go just like he does. He used to live here. Now he lives in Chittenden County, but same thing. They're gone for a little bit.
And the boat, as I understand it, is Coast Guard accredited, approved, so
Yeah.
it can be used for a variety of different things. I think one of the things that's fascinating to me about this project and how it's coming together is that one of the goals, as I understand it, is that the organization will be a non-profit, but that the boat and the rest of the lake will function with partnerships that are both public, private, and non-profit. That it's a beautiful way of bringing all of the pieces together.
Yeah, that's the vision of it for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it's there's many uses for it. So not just an educational component,
Right.
but as a tourism piece, as
Right.
and for private private parties and gatherings and things like that, which is done in the past.
Right.
So it's not a change in it's not really a change in service and a change in its operational. It's really just a change in structure. And
Right.
so we're a Vermont nonprofit, and we're just filed for our federal 501c3 status as an organization. And so so it's exciting. So we can do more things, and I think it'll be a better fit for the community and
Right.
for the longevity of the vessel and where it goes.
Yeah. The timing seems to be wonderful. I mean, it fits right in with the centennial, and the city's logo already has the Lady of the Lake sitting there,
Sure.
which of course is no longer floating, but here's another beautiful vessel.
Right.
And at the same time, the waterfront is being transformed from being absolutely nothing to being something that's also beautiful and functional. As the new path comes along and goes around the lake, there are then options for where the boats dock, whatever else happens on the lake.
Yeah, there's a lot of great opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are going on. I've met with the city. The city's been, very excited about what we're doing. And,
That's great.
And just seeing that, they want to know what was going on, but at the same
Sure.
time, they, they want to make sure that, we're kind of together on this in some aspects. So.
Yeah. It's so great that there is enthusiasm for this project, and I'm certainly hearing on the street that there's a big buzz around it.
Right.
That
Yeah, there's some buzz, and there's still people that don't know, and so it's a conversation to ask them and get stories from them. I'd love to hear from people that even see this set here that what's been your memories of the Northern Star, your lake experience,
Right.
and educational. If you had students that were on the lake, what does this mean to you, and how can we get you engaged in our process,
Yeah.
at a later date, and to tell those stories, because
Right.
I've heard stories of many people that have had relatives on Anthemus and Lady of the Lake, and they
Yep.
archived pictures that a lot of these things happened then, and so just kind of a continuation of that today.
Yeah. And people for whom their living memory is of a whole different usage for the lake.
Right.
And different vessels on it.
Right. Yeah, and there's the history of here. I mean, Scott Wheeler's got a ton of
Yes.
just archival photos and the process of what this lake has been from the ice house and the logging and the
Right.
all the things that have happened here, and I think that part of that history has to be brought into it as well. So.
I mean, another of the very cool things that's happening with this project is the combination of the economic development piece, which is really important for Newport and the area, but there's also the emotional piece, which for those of us who are either retired or feel that economic development isn't something we have skills at, the emotional connection with the lake is really important, because any of us who live here have some connection.
Right.
For those of us who moved here, clearly I'm not a native, but those of us who moved here, the lake was a big piece of that. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, it's magical.
Yeah, I think I think from an economic development standpoint, economic development gets thrown around there a lot, and how it's used and how that term is used sometimes doesn't really flow into really developing anything economically. So
Right.
it's looking at how does it change, and that's kind of why I talked about some of the students in their career path. We've had those discussions over several years where a lot of our youth are going elsewhere for employment and things like that, and so this is a way where they wouldn't have to necessarily leave the community. There could be things like that, from studies of the lake and water quality and just things that are happening there. That,
things that are growing in the lake.
Things that are growing in the lake, or,
lots of them.
That's right. So, I think that there's, when you're developing, that type of mindset around it, it's what are all the other, components that could really could take on from, how do the engines run inside that thing to, to vessel design to, to refitting to, maintenance and that's just the boat itself. That has nothing to do, there's so much that can be taught there and that people can see there. So I don't know. I think it's there's so many different things, and we don't want to try to be all things to all people in that. But I think even someone that's coming as a tourist that really just wants to visit the lake and see its beauty and see the history of this area and all that there's huge benefit into that as well. The tourism piece alone is really one of the big things that we have for this area where people get to come and experience. We live in the area where people want to come and vacation and they're gonna ice fish and they're gonna snowmobile and they're gonna do those things in the wintertime, and in the summertime they're gonna fish and canoe and do those things. So we live where people want to be. Right.
Does the group have people with skills in things like marketing and publicity?
Yeah, it's a pretty diverse group. It's a really good group of people. From backgrounds in in marketing and some from the nonprofit world, some from the private sector business. Prior fundraising skills, all sorts of different things. Everyone has a really good board makeup, and from the beginning, when Chris called those first meetings, from the very beginning, there was just a real strong interest in people coming and saying, wow, I'd like to be part of this project. And they all brought something different. It wasn't like we ended up, 50 fundraisers came together, or it was very good that each one of these people came together with a good skill set and it made up for a good board.
Yeah. Are there ways in which other people can become involved?
Yeah, I think I think there's many ways, and I think in going forward, I think there's some things that we're going to have some needs. I don't know specifically right now what those needs would be, but I think definitely one of the biggest needs right now is is funds for where we're putting this together, and the acquisition of the boat itself, and that's that's in process right now. But I think there's going to be many opportunities for people from not only from the educational side, but from the business side to marketing and graphic design and running the site, the websites, and booking and tourism, and there's just so many different things that it could turn into. And I think for the immediate is going to be anyone that has a skill or even just an interest in hey, I had this experience with the Northern Star, and I want to see it stay here, to get in touch with the group. Memphremagog Community Maritime exists. We're not it's not just a group of people that we're all closed out. We want to if there's some resources of talent that's out there, we'd love to talk to them. So because we don't know it all. I certainly don't know it all. I'm kind of right now I'm the interim president of the organization, and
you stepped forward and others took a step
I didn't
back.
Everybody did that. They kind of stepped back, and I was left out there, and so it is.
You
what
were
it is.
willing, admit it.
I was willing to do that, and of course Mark Hayes from Hayes Ford, he's our vice president, and Mark's a great guy, and so just a good group of people overall. So,
what about kids? How can kids get involved? This is their future.
Yeah, I think some of them have already been on the Northern Star, and some a few years ago they were a little bit younger. Now maybe they still remember that that experience, and maybe they'd like to have that experience again, or maybe they just wanted a day off from school. If they thought it was a day off from school, but they actually learned something that day.
They learned a lot on those trips.
Yeah, it was cool. So so I think for them. I think that if they have a desire to learn something more in any of those things, from how do you operate a vessel, how do you maintain it, how do you market it, how do you do each one of these things. There's plenty of learning opportunities that they can find in there, from the business to the to the science and research educational piece.
Right.
So.
Is this a membership organization?
It is. It's a folks can become a member of the group. We're still yet. In fact, at our next meeting, when we meet, we'll be identifying the membership fee structure and things like that. But it will be membership driven, and there'll be some charter members as well,
Right.
initially, and there'll be some opportunity there. There'll be some naming opportunities for, larger donors and things like that, and we'll be looking forward to that. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a good group of people that, come together in the Northeast Kingdom as a community effort to do this. And I've done some things in the nonprofit world before, and I think now it's this one's a little different. I'm excited about it because it's I've spent a lot of time as a customer. My wife and I love being on the
Right.
Northern Star, and we've been on there many years. We were on the inaugural voyage with many other people that when Chris first started up here,
Right.
and so we've kind of seen it from the hull cut in half to the inaugural voyage to many times being on at 4th of July and
Yeah.
all sorts of different things. So so it's good memories for us, and I think we can make better memories in the future as well.
If I was to ask you to fast forward 2 years, I mean, let's be reasonable here, 2 years, what do you think we'll be seeing?
Boy, I think 2 years in the future on this project, I think we would not only see the Northern Star, functional, operating, having not only just tours, but having people engaged in the process of taking part in the operations of what happens with the vessel. But I also see some smaller vessels that are kind of they kind of spin off that do different studies, from scuba diving to doing studies of the lake to we have some folks on our board that are with the airport, part of the airport,
Right.
and so
Float plane.
float plane and seaplane operations
Yeah.
that they're we're already talking about some of that. So I think from not only the tourism but the ecotourism piece, that there'll be multiple vessels that make this up. And I think 2 years, maybe 3 years down the road, I think I can also see a land-based teaching environment there as well, where very similar to like the Echo Center in Burlington.
It's big?
It is big, and it's
Are we aiming that high?
Well,
Hey,
I
have no issue with that.
no, I think we can aim as high as we want.
Cool.
I think the thing is obviously going to be it's going to be a funding issue, which is never really an issue. There's plenty of money out there when you need to put it together, and people that are passionate about a project that they really
Right.
want to do. And that they're passionate about something that they want to see that has value, they're going to step up and they're going to do that. They're going to say, I really believe in this. I've been on this vessel. I think it's fantastic, and not just from that, that visual, but what can it do, and what can it do in the future. So I see, not only just the boat itself, because the boat's kind of like the hub.
Yes.
And there's other things that are going to come off of that, like spokes. And one of those, I think, would probably be a land-based teaching place as well, that people could learn the history of that. And I'd love to see some people in the community that are the history of the lake. I'd love to see that displayed in there as well. So
Yeah.
I think there's some of that.
It'd be great. I mean, one of our other advantages here is that we are so close to Canada. We have this invisible, well, it's not an invisible line in the water. There's a fake line
Right.
in the water. And a couple of really good organizations on both sides, like Memphremagog Watershed Association on our side and MCI on the other side,
Right.
who are already working as a partnership.
Yeah.
And there has to be a way that that can all fit in.
Oh, absolutely. I think there's room for all these organizations coming together. I mean, it's each one has their own mission and purpose, but I think ultimately it's the same goal. I mean, there was just a feasibility study that was done with the city, and they came in and they said, hey, our recommendation is that you focus on the lake. Well, we've heard that before. Like, here we are again. The focus is on the lake. But there was an article back in 1980 and 1990 and 1955 probably that said we should focus on the lake. Well, everybody knows the lake's there, but yes, we should really focus in on what's happening in the lake instead of this everything turned away from the lake and outwardly. It's a focus back into the lake and say, man, this is an amazing natural resource that's here. We have everything in this community that Stowe has, and Stowe doesn't have the lake
and more, right?
So I think there's that to be an encouragement to the local folks as well, to say, we all know that this lake has been here and it will be here, and but a better focus on the benefits of it, I think, is where the organization is. And with these other groups, they're already focused in each one of their areas and coming together. I think and some of them sit on this board, so it's been very good, and it's I know in the nonprofit world sometimes it's interesting because it's a my organization versus this other organization, and it happens, but I don't see that here. I don't see that in the group. I don't see that in and not certainly in my mind. I think there's enough to go around for each one of that each mission can be fulfilled in what we're doing.
And there are already other small businesses, for example, Kingdom Games, which is doing some amazing events on the lake for season.
Right.
Because the winter swim's coming right up, and there's always the summer swim, but there are other events too. Oh, and there's skating event.
Right.
It all fits in. It's all coming together.
Yeah, I mean the boat doesn't. That particular boat in the Northern Star doesn't operate year round, but there's other parts of that. What can happen. Whether they're doing ice cores or they're doing whatever they're doing. Like every single one of those things can be done year round, and then in partnership with some of these other groups. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, and I presume there will be other partners. I mean, as somebody who lives here and is a kayaker, obviously I'm on the lake quite a lot. And I've always wondered, why isn't there more windsurfing? Why aren't some of the other small non-motorized vessels not more visible on the lake? It's perfect for that. We have so much wind on that lake.
Right.
And if you've ever windsurfed, you know.
Well, I've sailed the lake, so my wife and I sailed many years ago, but I mean, there's some days where there's not a lot of wind.
But there are other days.
It's still fun,
There are other days when you may start off with a little puff of wind, and then it turns into full force gale out in the middle.
Yeah,
it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, as soon as you get up towards Owl's Head and all that, it's crazy. So.
And there are other groups who are now teaching kids to swim in the lake. The rec department has been doing it just over the summer, but there are groups doing it again, small for-profit groups.
Sure.
That are small businesses that are just using the lake. So the timing really does seem to be good for this.
I think it's good. I think it's I think it's the right time, and I think the summer with the rainy season this past summer, I think might have been a blessing in disguise for the group because it really did bring a lot of key people together to to bring it to that next level. I mean, Chris did a great job with marketing it and getting it out there for 4 or 5 years in operation, and I don't think it's it's not over in my mind. I think it's just the next phase of where the Northern Star could be, because and we talk about her, the Northern Star. We talk about her as as if she was alive. Well, she is. She's kind of alive. She's an alive part of the community, and I think that she really wants to welcome people. She really wants to welcome people on board, and she wants to welcome people to the Northeast Kingdom and show them, take them around and show them what what it's all about. So it's been a good trip so far, and we still got a long ways to go. I'd love to talk to anybody. If anybody wants to step up and they want to be part of what we're doing, get in touch with us, and if they if they'd like to help out the cause and make a donation, that would be gladly accepted.
I bet it would.
So, but we're doing pretty good so far. Yeah.
Do you think there are ways that the businesses on Main Street can become involved? because as the Northern Star, as MCM grows, hopefully everything else grows in Newport. How do we bring those pieces together?
Yeah, that's always been a tough one for me to think through. I mean, I think that the Main Street businesses are just fantastic businesses as you go down through there, and they've changed over the years. But you know, in each one of those shops and each one of the different businesses that they have, there's quality things that they bring to, you know, there's some amazing restaurants on Main Street and quality items that are there. I'm not sure how that looks, you know, to the, you know, the Northern Star and the Main Street, other than the fact that, you know, the people that come there, they may come because they want to experience the lake, but going from the Northern Star to our business community on Main Street is just a short walk, and I think, you know, we can really be a catalyst to, you know, promoting that and to getting folks to, you know, take the little trek up the hill and go have lunch and visit some of the shops and just enjoy, you know, some of the
the arts collaborative.
Oh, sure.
MAC.
Yeah. MAC, yeah.
When you think of the lake-related art
Yeah.
that they have in there, some of it is absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you know, we've got an office building in the old Montgomery Ward building, Rick Woodward's building there. I mean, there's lots of, you know, individual businesses that are just in there the other day, and you know, each one of those businesses, you know, they're kind of tucked away in this one little building, but there's a lot, you know, it's like a little beehive in there of all these different businesses that are there. So there's more going on Main Street than we think. You know, we just kind of drive through it, and okay, it took, you know, 30 seconds and we're done, you know.
Yeah, there is something about keeping traffic moving really slowly on Main Street so that people actually see what we have.
Right.
Because if you're zipping through, then it's really hard to know.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, and I think that's been the challenge, I think, with a lot of Vermont small towns, is that their, you know, their main streets are, you know, their main streets are small, and, you know, they have great shops, but, you know, people just kind of, they're on the go, and they just, you know, zip through town and fast, and they miss some of that. And I think if they were to slow down a little bit, stop, and, you know, even just, you know, grab a cup of coffee or grab some lunch, they'd be like, wow, look, you know, I've never been in that place, and just check it out.
Exactly. I know there are some towns in North Carolina and a couple of those other states who've switched their speed limit downtown to 15 miles an hour from whatever speed they zoom through here, just as a way of getting people to look at what's happening around them.
Right.
And maybe that's something in our future too.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd slow them down to 15. But it could.
There's other ways around. They don't have to go down Main Street.
I know what you're saying.
Even you don't have to speed
down Main Street. No, I don't have to speed through town. No, I go. You know, it's like, I think there's some validity in that for sure. I think that's, you know, just to kind of slow down and take a look at what's around. We're in this society where everything is very fast paced, and you know, sometimes you need to look around a little bit.
Hanover has diagonal parking because you have to go slowly, and you have to watch either side because of these cars diagonally coming out. You have to look at the stores. It's really smart. Smart thinking.
I remember seeing the old pictures, the old Newport pictures, and they did park diagonally down there, but I think that was when cars were only like, you know, 5 feet wide or something.
But it does force you to look at the sides.
Yeah.
We are about out of time. It goes really fast. How do people get in contact with MCM?
Right now with MCM, probably the best way is to get in contact with, you know, myself or Mark Hayes. You know, they can reach me on my mobile. They can reach me on, probably my email is the best.
Okay.
It's just patrickmartellvt@gmail.com. So they can reach me there.
So we can attach that to the end of this program, and we'll also put a link to the Facebook page. There's a group page that needs to go on.
Yeah, they can go on the Facebook page. There's a website that's in process right now, so they'll be able to reach us, you know, by at MCN or Memphremagog Community Maritime.com. They'll be able to do that. So
this is really a sort of preemptive show because we're really early, but in another 6 months, I'd like you to come back and
we'll give
let's revisit where we are.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think this summer's going to be fun, and There will be a point this summer where that boat, the Northern Star, has to come out of the water. So people are going to see it come out of the water, and it may be
hanging there in space.
Yeah, it'd be there, and it may be out of the water for a little bit because every 5 years we have to do a Coast Guard inspection, and so
Of the hull.
the hull, we got to inspect the hull, and that Coast Guard inspection has to take place. So when you see it come out of the water, don't get worried.
Excited.
Get very excited that it's coming out of the water because
Yeah.
we have to do that inspection. They're going to
Yeah.
do that, and we're going to do some maintenance at that time as well.
Great.
So.
And people can come and look.
They can come and look. They can see what's going on. Hopefully, we'll have some educational pieces at that point as well.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely, Pam. Thanks
See
for having
you
me.
again.
Appreciate it.